Well, I am so excited to be here with Monique Renee. We wanted to, we connected a couple weeks ago and we wanted to bring part of the conversation we had then here.
Yeah.
And it just felt so important to talk about the struggles that heart led, soul led women in business are facing
Mhm.
in real time because I've been in business as a coach for 10 plus years, an entrepreneur for 20 plus years. I know you've been navigating this journey as well. And I feel like it's so nice to just speak honestly about what
Yeah.
this journey really looks like and what we're seeing in this now moment that's, the challenges and also the
Yeah.
opportunities.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cailen, for the invitation, for reaching out. One thing that I love about Substack, which I'm obsessed with Substack at this point, is the genuineness of people really wanting to connect and building community. And I think that this is one of the things that women are also beginning to open their eyes to, right? That we're not here to compete. We're stronger together,
Mhm.
whether we're in the same industry like you and I are, or we're in different industries. One of the things to, kind of hop into the conversation immediately that I'm seeing with women is that they're very alone, right? Especially business owners, because, I have to giggle because my partner says, I could never do what you do, because every day is a roller coaster journey.
Mhm.
And we have to learn how to manage our energy, so that we can ride that roller coaster through the extraordinary journey of being a business owner. But there's a lot of loneliness to it, right?
Yes.
Unless our business is community, which for many people it is, for most of us, we're, head in the sand, popping it out every 5 minutes, going, how am I going to get further today?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's been a journey. I love working with women, and I think that for both you and I, our journeys mirror the women that we're working with and that we
Yes.
want to work with, because we want to
Mhm.
see women succeed and really live from their hearts and from their souls. But yeah, loneliness is something that has been popping up quite a bit, and women are not only exploring the best way to be on this journey so that it's meaningful.
Mhm.
Um, but how can we not do it alone?
Yes, I feel that deeply, that craving for connection. And I think because in the business world, there's a strong thread that's about competition.
Yeah.
And women, that we know intuitively that it can be different, that it should be different. And yet sometimes we find ourselves subscribing to that competitive
Yeah.
energy. And when we allow ourselves to lean into the support that truly is all around us, all of these other women who are bringing their soul gifts to the world and navigating this journey that is, as you said, a roller coaster. There's ups and downs, there's highs, there's lows, there's identity shifts and
Yeah.
ego deaths and all of these
Yes.
things that when we allow ourselves to be surrounded and supported, it maybe doesn't make it easier in the way you would think of like, oh, now I've got the magic
Right.
secret, but it normalizes it. And that in and of itself is so helpful. But before we go deeper, and I know we're starting to get a group gathering here watching us, would you just do a quick intro and share who you are with my people? And then I can do the same
Yes.
for your people.
Yes, absolutely. So I am a life, business, and spirituality coach. So, my journey has been one of, I changed industries. I was in public relations for many, many years, had a successful career, but I realized that I got to a point where I wasn't really aligned with my soul. I had achieved success. I got to where I set my sights as a young professional out of college, and then I'm like, my soul's asking for something deeper, something that's really connected to who I am as a person, and ultimately what I think I'm here to do, right? Our purpose, our calling. And so spirituality and supporting others, primarily women, in self-actualizing, whether that's in your career, if you work for a company, or a nonprofit. I was in nonprofit for many years, or whether you are on the journey of a biz of, you know, starting a business or growing your business, um, I love to merge, the life coaching with the business coaching and the spirituality. That's really at the foundation of what I do, because one of the, going back to feeling like we're on this journey alone, one of the, in my opinion, the key strategies is realizing that we're never alone, that we have spirit, however you define that, the universe, right? The universe has our back. We're constantly co-creating if we allow that to happen, right? And that means trusting our journey, surrendering when we need to surrender, and allowing, the universe to show us the way and guide us. And that works really well together with alignment, right? When you know what your purpose is, when you know what your soul is asking you to do. And so that was my journey. And it became, my second career, so to speak. But I've been doing this now for 20 plus years. And just bringing more and more of what I call wisdom schools into my work, because I feel that we have known certain truths since the beginning of time. And because of competition, because of um, wanting to do things in the right way, the way that others in society and, masculine structures want us to, we have forgotten who we are. We have forgotten um, the right way, right, of operating, and it starts with connecting to our soul. So, in a nutshell, that's what I do. My framework is flow, is under the work of flow. And over these years, I've created a tool, again, aligned with, ancient wisdom, that reminds us of who we are and our purpose and our gifts. And also, year to year and month to month, reminds us of the season of life that we're in, which helps us to live intentionally and experience more peace. So, a
Oh,
little
that's
bit
so
about
beautiful.
what I do. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. And I want to go back and honor Shamaya shared that competition is honestly so overrated. Yes, it
Yes,
is. I can you see the chat on your side?
I can. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Awesome. So I'll do a little intro. So,
Yes,
hi,
please.
everybody. Welcome. I'm Cailen Ascher. I write under the Self Led Woman here on Substack. I, for the last 10 years, have been a business coach. And more recently, I've been feeling like that title doesn't quite accurately define the work that I actually do with the women that I work with. And so lately, I've been trying on business architect, because this is something, the the piece that I really help my clients with, which feels like the first domino for a lot of these women to get their business clicked in and really working in a way that feels sustainable and joyful, is uncovering their signature methodology.
Yeah.
And this is something that I found so tremendously helpful on my path when I really anchored into, what am I doing for my people? What do they need? And how can I build a framework, a proprietary system that they
Yes.
can understand, and then anchor my offers in that, my messaging in that, myself
Yeah.
by that.
Yeah.
It's so helpful. And so that is the doorway that I walk my clients through. Of, they're in that place where they're feeling scattered. They know they have intuitive gifts, but they feel like they're always starting from scratch with their clients, or
Yeah.
they get asked, like, what do you do? Or, how do you work with your clients? And they're like, they either have no words or they have all the words. and
Yes.
and so I work with them to make that methodology, uncover it from within themselves. There's this beautiful story about Michelangelo carving the David. And he was asked, as he completed this magnificent statue, how did you do this? Like, how did you think about carving this masterpiece? And he said, well, I just removed and chipped away everything that wasn't David.
I
And
love
there
it.
he was at the center of this block of marble. And that's what your methodology is for the women that I work with, who are so soul centered and heart led. that methodology lives within them already. And so it sometimes just takes someone to help excavate all of the stuff that they feel like they should be doing, or they think, will make them money, or a way that they're working that doesn't feel quite aligned, removing all of that and coming back to their essence, and then building their whole business from that soul-centered
Absolutely.
place. So, it's a beautiful way to either start building your business, or for
Mhm.
those women who are at a pivot, right? I know I have over the years had moments where I'm like, I'm pivoting in a new
Yeah.
direction. I'm transitioning. I'm releasing something that's no longer me, because the
Yeah.
journey of the entrepreneur is truly a path of personal growth, as I see it, of spiritual growth, um, that our soul has chosen in this lifetime. and
Absolutely. And I think the more dedicated we are to it on that journey, we do start to carve away at the things that no longer are they're not who we are, right? And our soul begins to reveal itself more and more. Um and the core of your business and what you help women do really speaks to what I feel a lot of women are struggling with today, which is identity,
Mhm.
and going back to competition, one of the things that competition, whether we look at it that way or not, it could be as easy as looking at a video from another coach, seeing what they're doing, and then automatically assuming you're doing the wrong thing, right? I'm fearful that she's doing it well and I'm not. And then sometimes we'll let that fear hijack us, right? And then we have to bring ourselves back to, no, 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 but this is what I'm about, right? And you're right. Sometimes we need to create the space um, with someone who can help see us,
Mhm.
right? And then allow us to see ourselves. And I love that. I think that the majority of the tools that I use are the tools that help women help them to uncover,
Mhm.
those gifts. And this is what my soul is here to do.
Mhm.
And now I just get to honor it and put it in a framework. One of the things that I'm noticing it in myself too, is this shift of being so aligned that my business structure is easy, right?
Mm.
Right? Because one of the other issues that I'm noticing with women is their nervous system is so um reactive, I guess. And there's so many inputs just jumping into our system right now because of, what's happening in the world, right? And all of that energy out there creates nervous energy within us, and can really hijack this simplicity that we're all seeking, right? And
Yeah.
so the more chaotic we feel the world and the more we take it in, right? And of course, we need strategies to not take that in. Um, the more simplicity and groundedness can really support us. And so having a very clear business structure,
Yeah.
um, unique model that speaks to our soul can help us really just focus on that, right? Let me
Yes.
just speak to that. Let me put my mind, body, and spirit into this structure and build that and not have to
Mhm.
worry about anything else. So having that simplicity as a woman business owner, I think really helps to like quiet the storm
Yeah.
that inevitably seeps in, when the
Yes.
world's so chaotic.
Mm. What you were saying there also makes me think of how we often adopt a version of what we think success should look like from the
Yeah.
outside,
Yeah.
right? Of like what we see on Instagram of I hit 10K months within 60 days of starting my business. And,
Right.
uh, some of those stories I truly hope are true. And then others are so inflated, or you're not getting the full picture of what actually is going on behind the scenes to make these things happen. And yet we start bringing them into ourselves of, oh, I should be, uh, you know, further along, faster. Like, why isn't this working for me? And I've gotten tangled up in that at different times
Of
over the
course. Me
past,
too.
decade plus.
Yeah.
But when I really sit with, and it's different for everyone, but the flavor of success that feels most right and true for me in this now moment, I'm like, and you said one of the words, I was like, simple.
Yeah.
I want to feel like it's sustainable.
Yeah.
I want it to feel safe and steady, like just a smooth, calm ocean, not like these
Yeah.
big crashing
No.
waves coming
No.
in.
And let's be real, that big crashing wave that we've been dealing with for decades
Mhm,
is called overachievement
mhm.
and nonstop action. And that just does not, that's not the way nature works.
Mm,
Nature has its seasons, it has its moments. We breathe in and then we have to breathe out. We have to create, the space for that. But when we are on overdrive, which we, as a society, we really haven't gotten. Is it better? Yes. Is it getting better and better every year? Yes. I do believe that because of individuals like you and I and others
mm,
who are speaking to the simplicity, who are speaking to the flow, to working within your season, working within your gifts, not trying to be everything to everybody. It's so critical that we build that space for ourselves as
mhm,
women. One of the things that is really interesting in the research that came out in 2025 is that disengagement, of course, is at an all-time high. But what's unique is that women are now the ones who are mostly disengaged, and not just any woman, women leaders. Okay,
mhm.
and we can just sit with that for a moment and say, if I'm working for an organization, I'm working for a woman leader and she's disengaged, what's that going to do for me and my team? Right? When we're following a disengaged leader. And it's not her fault. One of the reasons why so many women leaders are disengaged is because, again, the um conventional way of leading, which is 9 to 5, just work, work, work. Don't take care of yourself. Just focus on the profit, focus on the goals. Make sure that your people are machines working nonstop, not necessarily using and bringing their gifts to the world. So as women leaders, we think we have to operate in that way, but women are still the ones who run their families,
Mhm.
who take care of their aging parents, who deal with the fires. And so not only are we growing in the area of leading, but we have all of these other responsibilities. And so if the structure around us doesn't support us as busy, high achieving women who want meaning and passion and purpose and success, but also peace and health,
Mhm.
then of course we're experiencing all of this disengagement and um, lack of vitality.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. And what something you said made me think of that we're in this perpetual growth mode. It's like everyone's like, you need to be in spring and summer all the
Yeah.
time. Like you always need to be producing, you always need to be at peak energy, peak availability. And women are cyclical beings, right? We sync with the moon. We are the seasons. Like in our body, we
We are.
literally have those rhythms. And when we are forced to be in like that like ovulation energy constantly of like I'm super awake and super available and super ready and like that, and we have that in us absolutely, but maintaining that perpetually, steadily isn't something we're wired for. It's not something
No.
that's available to us. And it's a good thing because we regenerate and we, move life force energy literally through our bodies in this
Yeah.
way that's so, so powerful. But we've not been taught that that's allowed or available to us. And so we think we're failing by not being like here all the time instead of like allowing those undulations to happen, which actually makes us more
Yes.
productive and more fruitful and more
Yeah.
abundant when we lean into that.
I love that. I mean, those are the natural gifts that women bring.
Mhm.
There's a reason why we give birth. There's a reason why traditionally we were the healers, right? The medicine women. We still are, by the
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
Like we need to remind ourselves from the beginning of time the gifts of women. And it's a shame that you know, um, society and businesses. I'm talking the big corporations, and there are some who do it really well. So not everyone is not supporting women, not giving them the flexibility, the freedom, to be successful and also take care of their families and themselves. But for the most part, you know, um, they're not stopping to really understand the gifts that women bring. And as leaders, how we can change the work environment, how we can change the world because of these cyclical gifts,
Mhm.
and natural nurturing gifts that we bring. I'm a research, um I don't know what the word is, but I love research. So I'm gonna bring something else to the table, which I think is like really interesting. And it just kind of shows that, there's no like one definition of who a leader is,
Mhm.
but we all do bring our unique gifts to the table. And as women, as a body of women, we do have something unique that we bring. And so, the Gallup organization, for those of you who may be or may have done the Strengths Finder assessment, right? You get your top 5 strengths. When they looked at historically all of the successful leaders, men and women, um, and they had a criteria for success. And what their top 5 were, men and women averaged the same out of 5, the same top 4, which
Mhm.
were things like strategic, um, responsible, um, learner. I'm giving examples. I'm not giving you the exact ones, but the one that women had in their top 5 on average that men did not is empathy.
Mhm.
Right? We have to giggle at that because it's like, of course. And I'm not saying that men are not. I have an amazingly empathetic, you know, um, all the men in my life really are just compassionate and loving and empathetic. But there is a difference between masculine and feminine energy, right? And I think that something that we as women coaches are trying to do is balance that,
Yeah.
male and female energy, not only within ourselves, but within the world and the workplace.
Mm. Yeah, that's so interesting. I'm curious now to know what the 4 of the 5 were and what the
Yes,
I took
I will look it
that
up
test
again
years ago.
and I'll share that with you. We can always do another live and dive into
Yeah.
that. But think about it. Think about it for you. I know
Mhm.
for me,
Yeah.
I'm highly strategic. It's one of my gifts.
Mhm.
I am a go-getter. I want to be successful. I want to achieve my goals, right? These days it looks a little bit different because of, for me, peace is a priority
Yes.
to, the traditional success that and how we've defined it. Um, but I'm also, competitive. A lot of men are very
Mhm.
competitive. There's nothing wrong with competition if you what you're doing is competing with yourself,
Yeah.
right? To get better and better
Mhm.
to reach that alignment. Um, so there are many things, we're focused, we can achieve a lot. My God, we're the most gifted multitaskers on earth, for heaven's sakes, right?
That's so true.
So um there's there's not a lot of differences except that men have these unique gifts. And one of them is that protection mechanism. Like, I'm here to fight for my family. I'm here to fight for my people, to protect my people. And that's one of them. There are so many. Maybe men are more logical, we're more emotional, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's really, when we look at, I think, business owners, we're not that much different.
Yeah.
We want to be successful. We want to be wealthy. We want to be abundant. We want to produce things that are important, and that are going to be impactful to, the people who utilize them. So,
Yeah.
but we are more empathetic and we are more compassionate, I think, as a whole. So,
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that peace is such an important part of the equation for you because I think there's a very strong narrative that success requires consistent sacrifice, hustle, a disturbance of the peace and that
right.
alignment in order to make the money and get the clients. And there are absolutely seasons that require you to be more like blinders on, focused
Yeah.
in your aligned action. But thinking that it has to constantly be a struggle in order for you to one day earn success,
Yeah.
that is an ever moving target that is
Yeah.
always going to be just out of arm's reach because so it is, right? If your belief is, I'm not enough yet, I have to achieve, I have to earn, I have to wait, I have to prove
Yeah.
before I can receive, that's a cycle that's going to keep repeating itself. And I think it's so important to model,
Yeah.
in our businesses because we then model for women in their businesses what this can look like to have that balance. When I was my daughters are 11 and 9 now, but when I first stepped into motherhood, I was also starting my coaching business and it didn't make any logical sense, but I decided to have a 3-day work week. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not sure if I'm going to make any money, let alone more money than I made before. But making that shift in integrity, modeling that, I had my first 6-figure year
Yeah.
after the previous year making, 20,
Yeah.
25,000 because I chose from a place of intuition and alignment rather than what made sense on paper.
Yeah. And that's really what we need to continue building is that intuition and alignment. Our bodies are
Mhm.
constantly communicating with us. I guarantee that everyone listening to this, whether now or later, can recall several times where you were posed with a question or a decision that you needed to make, and your body immediately told you what the answer was. But then the brain hopped in and started to, communicate with you. But what about this? And that what if that person thinks you're making the wrong decision? And, you know, and we talk ourselves out of our intuition. But I know that I can recall those moments clearly, and I made the wrong decision. I made the wrong decision and it didn't turn out okay. And this is what life is about making the mistakes and learning and doing it better in a shorter period of time next time. You know, I'll share that I'm huge with giving myself space, right? Um, it's what my business is, teaching women to flow through their cycles, through their sacred seasons, understanding what that is, and aligning with their gifts and with their soul's purpose. And and in order to do that, we have to give ourselves the space. So I've been doing this morning routine that is about 3 hours long. And I can do it because I work for myself and I've made that choice. But I have judged myself for wanting to change the routine. And and recently, um, I made a change where, for example, usually I'm coaching between the hours of 10 and I would say 4 o'clock. I try not to go
Mhm.
past 4 o'clock. And but there was a program that I really wanted to sign up for that was going to be good for me, for my development, for my growth. And it required that Tuesday and Thursday I'm unavailable from 9:30 to about 11. And before I made that decision, my heart started racing. I started listening to the judgment of who do you think you are not being at your desk working, between 9:30 and 11. And and I had to sit with that for a while and remind myself, no, I am my own business woman. I decide when I work, when I take care of myself, when I spend time with my family, what my sacred hours are. And I have the flexibility and the freedom to choose differently and to know that success is not going to suffer because of it.
Mhm.
So we're constantly having to listen to the voices that try to steer us away from, what our hearts and souls know that we need.
Yeah.
So connecting with that intuition and developing it is really, really important.
Mm. It's so interesting too, because I know you are such a self aware woman and this is work you have been doing for so long. And yet, isn't it interesting when we have those moments where we're like, oh my gosh, look at the thoughts I'm thinking. Look at the
Right.
stuff that's still in me somewhere. And
Yes.
it's always an opportunity, right? That self awareness piece in and of itself is a gift because you already are distancing yourself from that thought. But
Yes.
to see that pattern so clearly and be like, oh, I'm going to choose differently. And maybe in the past, you wouldn't have chosen the self-honoring path.
Yes.
And, but it's beautiful, right? You're feeling that growth edge and stepping beyond it. So I know we've been going for about a half hour. So I want to respect and honor your time. Before we close, is there anything you want to share where people can connect with you? I know obviously here on Substack. Is there anything else you want to point them to?
Yes, yes. No, just join me on Substack. I invite you to just follow along. And so my Substack is called The Flow Frequency. I focus on supporting women in really aligning with their gifts, with their talents, with their soul's purpose, and giving them their unique framework for honoring their season. The season of your year, which changes every February 4th of the year, and every month we have a new energy that wants to play with us, right? And this helps keep us in this beautiful, aligned flow with what we're meant to learn and how we're meant to grow every year as women leaders and women business owners. It's also the home of my podcast, The Flow Frequency. So I invite you to learn more about the Flow Roadmap, listen to the podcast, and join the community. And in a few weeks, I am launching a new program called the Sacred Success Reset. And it's for women who are finding themselves at that, fork in the road, whether it's relationship, wanting to make a big change like a divorce. Maybe they're in corporate and want to go private, or maybe they are feeling the itch, the creative itch, that there's something huge and beautiful building up inside of them that needs to come out. And we work together for 3 hours to build that clarity, and to align ourselves in our bodies with the energy that you need, and then give you a plan to move forward with clarity and with success. So that
Oh,
is my invitation to all of you.
oh, that sounds beautiful. That
Yeah.
that sounds so nourishing. So before I do my little close, I
Yes.
want to mention a few people who joined us today and just honor them. So Aisha said, so interesting what you said about the top 5 strengths. Her number one is strategic. Of course it is, Aisha. That's amazing. And thank you to Dawn. I'll just mention a few. Shamaya. Let's see if I can get one more. Margaret, Monica, Steph, thank you all so much for tuning in live. We loved having you here. Um, yes, if today's conversation spoke to you and you want to dive deeper into your sacred self alignment and how that can be expressed through your work as a signature methodology and build your offers from that place, your marketing, your whole business structure. That's what I talk about over at the Self Led Woman. That's the work I do with my clients. And I have an opportunity currently, if anyone's interested in a complimentary 20-minute call. I've opened up my personal calendar to have calibration calls with women who are really feeling into what is the methodology that is wanting to be expressed through my work. What is the foundation underneath all of this beautiful intuitive stuff I'm doing to give the business more stability and structure, and then explore if working together a longer term is something that would support you. And all of that can be found over at the Self Led Woman. But Monique, thank you so much for
Thank
making
you,
the
Cailen.
time. This was wonderful.
It was a great way to start my morning.
Yes,
So,
I
yes.
agree. This is the best way.
This is the best way. So thank
Yeah.
you for sharing your energy with me, and thank you to all the women who showed up, and hope to see you again soon.
Yes, and we've got thank yous from Shamaya, from Aisha. You are so welcome. Thank you for joining us, popping in just, spontaneously with us here for this conversation. It was awesome. All right, Monique, I'm so excited to continue to get to know you and grow
Absolutely.
together in this space.
Yes. Namaste, my friend. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.